Hello and welcome back to another Game Nexus gameplay video. Today we're going to be playing Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. I'm going to be playing this game as Aoi here. The character that I am always thinking was added in Virtua Fighter 4, but she was actually added in Virtua Fighter 3. In fact, I think my one arcade video for Virtua Fighter 4, the whole time I was actually saying she was added in that game, and she was not. But just like the first two videos, you'll notice this is exactly the same route. As I had made mention of, there's no rhyme or reason as to when the game decides you're going to do a different route, just like in the arcade games when I'm playing it on Lindbergh. But it's like it just randomly decides, you know what? Let's give them some different characters. And you change routes. And I've seen the same thing on just about every arcade version of Virtua Fighter that I've played, that you never know what characters you're going to get or what route it's going to pick. But when you see your first character, typically you'll know, because I think usually it's either Brad Burns or I want to say it's that Go guy is the other guy who could be the first one, or maybe even Kage. But I decided on this game I picked her second outfit because I thought it looks kind of cool. And of course here's Wolf Hawkfield in his snowfield. But if you haven't seen any of the other videos, this is being run on my PlayStation 5 because they had like this deal on the game where you got the game with I think it was the Ryo ga Gotoku Yakuza collaboration pack, and it was like $10 as opposed to like $30 or $40, which would be your normal price. And then I picked up the Tekken collaboration pack for like $2. I'll end up picking up the legendary pack, as they call it, once that goes on sale again. But if you've never played Ultimate Showdown, basically it's like a remake slash remaster of Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown on the PlayStation 4. And of course it was also in the arcades in Japan as Virtua Fighter 5 Esports for some reason. I guess they were kind of like, oh well, in the United States, esports is like this big thing, so let's call it that. Why not? Which somewhere down the road, people are going to be like, where does this even fit in the series, and why is it called esports, and what is that?
Ready, go!
But yeah, the floating level like this with Shundi, in just about every Virtua Fighter game they've had it, always looks like a really nice stage, if you ask me. And of course, you know, I love that, just like in Soul Calibur, where you could just fall off the stage after after you've ringed out your opponent. And what's funny is, like, even in Soul Calibur, if you fall off the stage, your character will scream like they just fell off a cliff, and it's hilarious. But as I was saying, I remember when I first played Virtua Fighter 2, because I was so used to the Sega Saturn version, where you didn't go under the bridge, because of course that game does not have 3D backgrounds. It just has that like bitmap effect where you just see like a continuous background and you never end up seeing like any 3D things. I remember the first time I played the Model 2 board and I actually saw going under the bridge, I was like, wow, that looks so cool. And considering that was like 1994, and we were barely imagining that we were going to have like PlayStation or Sega Saturn, and they could actually do that. Oh, there I go again. I fell off the level again, jumping off, because I always think that's hilarious. But I thought it was one of the coolest effects I had ever seen, because at that point, like, I was like, wow, they really could do this. And that was one of those games that was a fairly early 3D game with fully texture-mapped characters and fully 3D backgrounds. The original Dead or Alive on the same hardware, just a little bit after that, was just as impressive. And the funny part when you think about it at this point is Dead or Alive and Virtua Fighter kind of are at like the same spot. Unfortunately, Dead or Alive kind of is a self-induced hiatus, whereas Virtua Fighter is, I guess the devs ran out of ideas, so they decided not to make any games. But what had happened with Dead or Alive is with Dead or Alive 5, which is the game where you got all your Virtua Fighter cameos, they basically did way too much downloadable content, and a lot of people just stopped caring about Dead or Alive at that point. Unfortunately, they didn't learn their lesson, and they came back with Dead or Alive 6, which had improved mechanics and improved graphics. But they decided to do the same tactics, and I think most people just had it with the whole milking the DLC thing, so they, after like a year or two, they just stopped supporting the game. So at this point, just like I had made mention of in the other ones where we're waiting if Virtua Fighter 6 will ever be a thing, I'm sure in just about every one of my Virtua Fighter 5 videos I've ever made, I've made mention of that. But we're now in 2024, and we're still wondering if Virtua Fighter 6 will ever be a thing. That's why I'm really hoping this game kind of sold enough to show like the interest in the series. So we'll actually get another Virtua Fighter game. But as I was saying, Dead or Alive kind of has the same problem where, due to their downloadable content stuff, we may or may not get another Dead or Alive game, Dead or Alive 7, or, you know, whatever Dead or Alive. They're releasing another, they're releasing a spin-off of Venus Vacation. It might actually be getting a console version because it was actually advertised on my PlayStation 5, so wouldn't be surprised if they're going to say that, like, this is the Venus Vacation console version. But it really is sad when you think about it that Virtua Fighter was the original fighting game being developed in arcades back in 1993. Back when the idea of, like, a 3D characters in a 3D world was barely even a thing. And it was just because Yu Suzuki saw the 3D characters from Virtual Racing that we even got Virtua Fighter, because he was like, why can't I make like a competitive fighting game and have three-dimensional characters? And that's kind of how Virtua Fighter was born in the first place. But it's just kind of sad when you think about it that Virtua Fighter has kind of become like the Street Fighter 2 type thing, where we've only had a few revisions to this game, and we haven't had like a mainline entry in a good while. So I'm really hoping that at some point Sega just surprisingly announces Virtua Fighter 6, and we're all just taken aback by it, and that of course they get the console version out quickly, because unfortunately, especially here in the US, there aren't too many arcades anymore, and most players wouldn't be able to play the game until whenever the game would come out for consoles, of course. But if you didn't know, this game came out in 2021, and as far as I know, at the moment, this is still only a PlayStation 4/PlayStation 5 exclusive, since PlayStation 5 can play all PlayStation 4 games, so you can download this on the store of your PlayStation 5 and just go ahead and play the game, and it's a really nice looking version of Virtua Fighter that I would highly recommend. If you're somebody who, let's say, you haven't played Virtua Fighter in a while, or maybe you just have abandoned the series as Sega has, since there hasn't been a brand new entry in the series since back in 2006 when Virtua Fighter 5 came out for Sega Lindbergh hardware. This is definitely a game to give a shot to, because it's really a fun version of Virtua Fighter, and it really is nice that now not only can you play Virtua Fighter again, but you can play it online with a lot of other people, and really have a good time with it. And when I saw this victory, when I was doing this, I was thinking, if this were Tekken, the announcer would have just yelled "great" at the end, because I had beat Akira there with like just a little tiny bit of health. And it looked like one of those times I would have to take a loss and hopefully beat him after I try again. And I've noticed there's actually a couple of intros for Doral. There's that one where she's kind of like all squatted down. Then there's the one where she's just walking there, and of course there's that one where she jumps off the top and just lands all Alpha 152 style. But it's definitely a really cool boss fight, and
Knockout.
but unfortunately, it's not one that I'm relatively great at. But I know there's probably a lot of Virtua Fighter players out there who are like, oh well, you're just bad at this game. But Doral, I think, legitimately like reads your inputs and actually can counter it based off of what you're about to do, because there's really no other explanation I would have. Plus, she has like a lot of the moves from a lot of the different characters. But yeah, definitely give this game a try if you haven't already. It's a really fun play, and especially if you have a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5, just, yeah, try it out. But this has been another Game Nexus gameplay video, and I shall see you later. Bye.